My name is Eddie C, and welcome to my Positive Podcast. I'll bring you positive stories of people from all walks of life, because everyone has a story to tell. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to MPP, my Positive Podcast, and I'm your host, Eddie C, episode 23. Well, today on this episode, we're going to be talking about the word devotion. And I've got two wonderful guests coming on, as always, that will share a little bit about their lives, and they'll tell what devotion means to them. One of my guests is a voice specialist when it comes to doing overdubs for presentations, and is a communication expert. And my other guest is a film and electronic music producer. So if you're curious about their stories, tune in and stay positive. My name is Eddie C, and you're listening to my Positive Podcast. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce my next guest to you. She's a voiceover specialist, communication specialist, and in her earlier days, she was saying she did a lot of singing, but she'll tell you more about her story in a little bit. Please welcome my next guest, Miss Christina Van Rooi. Hey, Christina, how are you?
I'm fine, Eddie. Thank you very much for inviting me on this nice conversation we will have.
I'm glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Can you tell my audience a little bit about your background and where you're originally from and how you got started? Because I saw an earlier interview over you, and I think you had some Spanish connections in your roots.
Yes. My mother is Spanish. She's from Madrid, and my father is Dutch from the south of Holland. And I was raised here in Amsterdam, Amstelveen. So I was born in Amsterdam. And that's my background. I had a nice family and had a nice youth, I can say. Yeah.
So what got you interested in the music? Is that coming from your family, or was that something that you just decided as a little child you wanted to do?
Yeah, I know. I have an aunt. She was in the singing industry, in the time of the war, Second War, she was singing and made records and everything. And I discovered I could sing from my sister because she was 4 years older and she was always singing. And then I started to sing with her. And then I went to a choir in a church, and they said, "Oh, you can sing solo because you have a nice voice." And so that's how I started. And then I started with the singing lessons when I was a little bit older. And that's how it began.
But you went to the conservatory or just a music school in itself, just a regular music school to further your development?
Well, I did 1 year of conservatory. I did jazz, but before that time, I started just in studios working. I was like about, in the beginning, end 18, 19, 20, I started to write my own songs with a friend. And then I was asked to sing in a studio for Arcade, for Turn Up the Bass CDs. We did a single of that, Love You More. And in that time, I worked with several producers, Ray Slijngaard, and I did also something with Peter Koelewijn and, just professional studio work and writing also. And then I get my own record deal. That was really, really nice after doing all these CDs of Arcade, Turn Up the Bass. And that was a very nice because I was so happy. I worked hard for it. And so they give me the deal, and it was very nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. You told me when we spoke earlier that at one point you got out of the music industry and then you started to doing other things. Like, can you tell us a little bit more about the whole communication thing that you were doing? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, the point was that I was, when I was being in the music business, I was also studying European study at the university in Amsterdam. But it was less interesting for me. I was focused on music. That was my passion. And at one point I get this record deal and we made a single and it was on TMF and on the radio and went very well. And we already were working on the second single with the producer, and then the internet came and it went very difficult, the music business. When I had my record deal, we made a single and a video clip. It was on TMF, music television, on the radio a lot. It went very well, so I was very happy, and we were already working on the second single. And I was writing the lyrics and everything for that. And then the internet was, developing. It became more and more, and the music business was becoming very difficult. And then my record company decided to go to LA. So I lost my deal, and everything I worked so hard for years and years and years, writing songs and lyrics, and being in a studio with all kind of producers. So I was a little bit sad, and in that time I was already also a little bit working in the office. I finished my study and I was working PR. And so, I started just focusing on that. And then I thought what I'm going to do with my singing, because I was not feeling to sing in a band. I love to sing in a studio and writing. And then I entered the Conservatory of Amsterdam, and I did that 1 year. But I guess it was not my cup of tea. I really loved the people and everything, but I'm just not really a jazz person. And so in that time, they didn't have a pop or anything. They just had the jazz or the classical singing. So I didn't feel like really, in my environment. So I left a little bit like the singing while it was my biggest passion. And I started to work with, I finished my study and I started to work, in the office. So I did this public relations, and I did the communication from private bank. And then I went to the airline Transavia, and there I had my nicest job. It was a director of corporate communication, and it was so much fun. But a lot of work. I worked like 50 hours a week or something, but it was a fantastic job. And I did a lot of things, internal, external communication. And then I met my husband and I got my child. And my child was, of course, my biggest passion of this world. So I thought I can't work 60 hours because, my child needs me, and my husband was away a lot. So I decided to work less and started to work part-time. I went to KLM, communication consultant for 7 years. Very nice also. And I stopped just before Corona with working at KLM. So in coronatijd, I did some workshops of voiceover. I get lessons of Ben Maasdam. He's a very good and known stemacteur. A voice actor. Yeah, and I had so much fun there, and I learned a lot. And I made my own website. I made like a little studio for myself, and worked on Audacity. How works it? How can I record myself? So, and then I started to contact my old contacts and also new contacts. And so now I started a little bit with voiceover very slowly. So I did some for the Voedselbanken, the radio campaign, and for radio television Amstelveen, and for Renault. It goes very slowly, and I'm still learning. But I'm starting to sing again. So I'm starting to do my singing lessons to wake up my singing voice, because it was a long time in the closet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have quite a story there about your past. My question is, what are you doing now, basically,
Well, I'm waking up my voice because it was a long time. I put it away. I don't know, but yes, it feels very nice to sing again and doing my lessons. I have a singing lesson of a kind of opera classical teacher. So
Okay. Wow. That's nice. And you still going to be doing some writing as well?
Oh, well, maybe in the future, not right now, because I'm just starting everything up and everything. But if I get more and more into it, I love to write the lyrics, and I did also the melodies for songs. So I wrote some songs, and the single I brought out when I was younger, I also wrote the lyrics of that song. So I also like to write. Yes. You never know. Maybe.
Yeah, that was quite an incredible clip with what was it, a tiger or a lion, a little tiger, the puma that you
that
had.
was that was fantastic. Well, because they wanted to do something special, and I said we're going to make a video clip with a puma. And well, one of my big passions is animals. I love everything, from spider to bats to well, I love everything. Yes, so it was so nice to have this puma in the video clip. Now I'm thinking maybe it was not such a good idea to have a wild cat, in the studio. But it's not nice for the animal, of course. Now I think that, but the experience was very special.
Well, yeah, I'll say very brave as well.
No, he was very sweet. He was like, how do you say that in English? Like like doing that.
Yeah, like a little cat. Okay. Baby cat with big teeth. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're coming to our last question I'd like to ask you, which is our theme for this particular episode, and it's called devotion.
Yeah.
And I would like to know, what does devotion not only mean to you, but for you?
Well, what it means for me now is, of course, my child. That's for me the most important thing I have in this life, and I have total devotion for him. I stopped my job then, and I'm doing everything I can to give him a nice, stable youth and all the love I have, So, that's for me, I think, devotion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, your husband, does he do anything with music as well?
No, he's a real businessman. He's a commercial businessman. So totally not. But he really likes that I'm doing this now.
He's supporting you with that.
Yeah,
that's great.
He said, you go for it, Christina. Yeah, supporting it.
That's also a form of devotion, huh?
Yeah.
As well.
My husband supports me very well, and that's very sweet because he gives me all the space to do what I want to do. And he really likes it. So that's very, I think very nice of him. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, listen, I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story with my listeners and with me. And hopefully we'll hear pretty soon something in the near future with you singing, as well as hearing you on a commercial here and there.
Yeah. Thank you, Eddie.
Maybe a voiceover for film. And who knows, maybe there's a collaboration in there somewhere as well.
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah. You never know in life. It's one big surprise life. So, Thank you for inviting me, Eddie. It was very nice.
All right. And thank you for coming on again, and keep doing those positive things and sharing your talents with people around you. And we'll talk to each other very soon.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Eddie.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is My Positive Podcast with Eddie C. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is a young guy I have known since he was a little boy. And his parents are very good friends of mine. And I've seen him grow and develop to be a very talented musician and producer. And he's doing a lot with electronic music. Please welcome my next guest, Mr. Gijs Van Lieshout. Hey, Gijs, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Eddie. Great to be here. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's really nice to have you on the show. And man, you have, like I said, last time I saw you, you were much bigger than your drumsticks.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very true.
Well, listen, I know a lot about you, but my listeners don't. So can you tell my listeners a little bit about your background and where you're from and what you've been doing in the past that leads you up to now?
Yeah, sure thing. So my name is Gijs. I've been making music ever since I was about 3-4 years old. I started with the drums and along the years taught myself how to play the piano. And quickly after that, I discovered electronic music and really became a big fan of the sound. And I thought, I want to do that. So I bought my first synthesizer, started like implementing the stuff I learned behind the drums and the piano in electronic sounds, and that basically got me when I am today. That got me where I am today as an artist. My name is Winwell as an artist. I produce electronic records as myself, but also ghost produce for other artists, and that's going really well. That's one side of me.
At one point, because I remember you starting out as a drummer, because I remember giving you these drumsticks. I mean, at that time, you were just getting started.
Yeah, true.
And I know your parents are very proud of you because you really turned out to be quite a talented young man and with a great future ahead and doing some beautiful stuff.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, in the music that you're doing, what brought you towards the electronic music? Because you said you started learning keyboards, and is that something that has to do with just the direction you took?
Yeah, I think it started around the time I was about 10, 12. I started hearing it on the radio, and I really liked the futuristic, new and fresh sound it had, talking about the house scene that was blowing up at that moment, hearing names like David Guetta, Avicii, Zed, really inspired me because I grew up listening to, mostly acoustic music. I like the new fresh sound.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you mentioned that you're also doing some productions, or you work sometimes as a sort of a session musician where you're playing for someone else. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, I'm not really a guest musician. I'm more of a ghost producer, in where people ask me to produce their tracks. Like a singer-songwriter will come to me and say, "Hey, I've written this idea, and I've this kind of sound in mind. Would you maybe arrange it, produce it, do the sound design, mixing, mastering, all of the things that really come into the production process, I then take over." And that's really fun to do. It's 90% of the time, it's not the music I would make myself, but it's really refreshing to do and also really inspiring. I always learn new tricks working for other people.
Okay. So you like doing the production and just say the arrangements around the songs for a lot of the other artists?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And sometimes songwriting as well, composition, but not all of the times.
Okay. All right. What are some of the artists that you've been busy with in the last few years?
Yeah, well, the main artists I've been working a lot for is Ryan Song. This is a Chinese electronic pop artist that is really has gotten his sound together quickly. It's been really fun working with him. I've produced for some rappers as well. I don't know all the names, but I know Gray, Adam Varlick. That's the names I can come up with. And lately I've been producing for this sweet woman that wants to make her own hits. She's from Eindhoven, and her name is Miranda. And it's really fun working for her as well, because she's just started. She's got some great ideas, and not done yet with either of them.
And what kind of music is it?
Well, from Miranda, the first track we made is a Dutch ballad with a lot of orchestral stuff, strings, horns, quite an emotional track. And the second track we made together was more like a disco Bruno Mars blend, which is something completely different.
Okay. You're different, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Wow. So you're working with her at the moment. Are there some other projects you're busy with as well?
Well, mostly it's her and Ryan Song at the moment that I'm like weekly working with in terms of music. I've got like, I think 6 or 7 songs I'm working on with Ryan at the moment, and those 2 with Miranda. And besides that, I'm also a professional videographer and photographer and editor. So that's what I do to make a living. And the other times I'm working on my own music.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your videography and your photography, because I'm also a photographer as well. So I'm very curious.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that started, I think, it's both of these things started early as a kid. I never was a kid that would play video games. I remember all my classmates when I went to elementary school got their Nintendo DSs and PlayStations. And I believe I got one PlayStation for Sinterklaas from my dad back in the day. But I never really used it. And the stuff I asked for mostly were 2 things. It were instruments and cameras, because I really like the audio visual stuff. And I remember getting my first camera when I was, I think, about 8 or 9. And I just started making these very crappy sketch videos. And I love that. And I kept doing it until I went to high school. I kept doing them a little bit, but mostly doing school projects, of course. Ever when there's video involved, I would take on the project both hands. And at one time, classmates started asking me to do videos for them as well, which resulted in one of their parents to see the videos I made. And she asked me to do a promotion video for her new company she just launched. So that was when I was 15. Yeah, I was 15, and that was when I got my first paid job. So as a 15-year-old, I went with my dad and mom to the tax attorney and said, okay, so I'm gonna make money with this now, I guess. So I have to have a company. So that's at the age of 15, I registered my company, and it just kept growing, and I kept investing in more professional camera equipment. And that's where I make my living off right now.
Fantastic, man. I always love to see, the young generation being so creative and doing these new energetic and positive things. And it's absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you another question. When you're busy with your video and your photography stuff, what's the one that you like the most? You like more the photography and video thing, or are you more into the music? Where's your preference?
My preference definitely goes out to music. I love that the most, but it's both is very fun to work with. I always say, I don't think I'll never say goodbye to any of those, because I really like the combination in the work. It might be that when music is coming along a bit better and I can make a bit more money of it, that I'll do that more, but I'll still have the photography and videography. Besides that, I think I'll never get rid of that. But when you're talking videography versus photography, it really depends, because photography is a lot less work. Videography is a lot more work, because you have to film it, you have to edit it, and you're moving all the time. And with photography, you can like find a nice part, make some pics, edit it quickly. So that's a quicker process than videography, but both are very fun.
Yeah. Going back to the photography thing, you mentioned that. I kind of think, photography is kind of easy, and it's basically a tool that just about everybody uses nowadays, especially with their smartphones and all. It's very, very easy to capture stuff. Yeah. I do a lot. I'm basically doing a lot of street photography myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw some pictures.
Yeah. Thank you. And but the things that with the video, which is something I started messing with myself for some years ago, but basically just filming from my smartphone, because that's all I had to work with.
Yeah. That's how I started as well. Honestly, the first paid jobs was with my smartphone as well.
There's so many, let's say, apps and programs that you can work with, and the smartphones have gotten so good, especially with the video quality nowadays to work with. It's amazing what you can do with just your phone. But my other question is, like, how do you see the industry developing now? Because we're getting, once again, more and more away from the big cameras and the large lenses. And, you know, like I said, you've been busy with this actually for quite some time now.
True. Yeah.
So how do you see the future of the whole, let's say, music industry in combination with video?
Right. Okay, wait. I heard two questions. One was the development of the film and photography, and then the music. Let's do that one first.
All right.
So I think, like, because exactly what you said, smartphones can capture better photographs and videos every year. They're getting better, but it's still, if you compare it, especially on the big screen, but also just on a regular PC or TV with just a big film camera, you still see a huge difference.
Absolutely.
But that's just all about the sensor. It's about the lenses you use, and basically, and the big TV cameras, those are only used because of the fast zooms they have, the sturdy, trustful build. You can just know you can like broadcast terrific stuff with that. But for cinematography, as we're talking like video clips for producers, most of the times you'll see people using a Sony AS7, like A7S, I mean. Those are terrific cameras. They're not cheap at all, but those are terrific cameras. And the fun thing is, when you look at those cameras, they're quite small. They're really small, but they're cinema worthy. If you play those things on the big screen, they'll look terrific. So I'm thinking the future is more towards those cameras. And I think like the very big ones will fade away eventually from the day-to-day cinema scene. Only you'll see them in like TV shows or like huge cinema productions.
Well, I know that, sorry to interrupt you, but I know that nowadays you have this, what is it called? IMAX and the 4DX movies, which is
true. Yeah.
So it's a great experience if you go to the theater to see a movie like that. And they're starting to bring it more and more to the television sets, because now you can even get like the sound bars with Dolby Atmos, and so
I've got one.
it's quite amazing.
They're fun. Yeah.
The sound is quite amazing, and the pictures as well in IMAX. I have seen a couple of movies in IMAX recently, and I was like blown away. But I also like the 4DX movies as well.
I personally don't.
Why? Why is that?
Yeah, well, I watched one. It was playing here in Zwolle, where I live. Harry Potter, the first part was playing. And me and my girlfriend went to the 4DX view of that. And, it's chaotic. It's like you feel everything. And especially when they go like fly on their brooms, like I'm shaking from like I'm seeing all the corners of the cinema, and popcorn is flying everywhere, and my drinks spilled and everything.
They warn you about that beforehand. No, I actually went to see Black Panther. That was my first experience. And I mean, you could smell the scents and everything. Of course, it was a film with maybe not as a heavy action as a Harry Potter movie.
True, yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the film very much. And actually, I think it depends on the type of movie that you're going to for the 4DX.
I think so too. Because if I would go again, which I probably should, this was just a one-time experience. Excuse me.
No problem.
If I would go again, I think I would not choose like a heavy action movie compared to a more like adventurous movie, and where that's just pretty cinema and like where the effects actually make sense.
Right. Exactly. Okay, listen, we're getting close to the end of our interview. I got, of course, one more question to you, which is the main theme question of this episode, and it's about devotion. Yeah. And so I'd like to know, what does devotion not only mean to you, but for you?
Yeah, so I think devotion pretty much is 50% of how I got where I am today. If you ask people that know me, they'll say, I won't give up. If someone tells me no, I'll fucking fight until I get a yes, for example. That's
well, you always were like that as a kid. I remember. I remember your dad. I remember your dad telling me, well, he's not going to give up. He's definitely going in that direction. I said, all right, well, that's good.
Yeah, exactly. And well, obviously it depends on how badly I want stuff. I can easily take a no if it's not something that I dream of. But if it comes to my dream in music or in like owning my company and running it with video and photography, I think devotion is like 50% why I got where I am today. It's really important to me. It's also, well, it keeps me standing, you know. It keeps me it helps me cope with the downsides with well, of course you got ups and downs, and devotion keeps me coping with downs. I think that's why, yeah, that's what it means to me. And it's really I'm happy, but first of all, I doubted whether it was like a good a good aspect of me, but I'm happy that I got it, because I wouldn't have done the stuff and gotten the miles I've got if I didn't have that.
That's great. And I think, you know, I know both of your parents have been really backing you up 100% all the way. They've been devoted to you.
Sure. Yeah.
To help you help your dreams come true. You know, I had a long talk with your dad, and they're so proud of how you've, you know, come along and the things that you're doing, which is great to hear.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good to know. I've got great parents. They're really good. They've always backed me up. They've supported me in my dreams. And though my dad's probably a bit too stubborn to say it out loud a lot of the times, but I know he's proud of me, and I know he loves me, and I really love them too. And I'm very thankful for the support they've given me over the years.
Yeah. That's a true devotion. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a true devotion. I've followed you a little bit on your Instagram, and you're doing some wonderful things, man. You're a great role model for the younger generation.
Thank you.
And I hope that more people connect with you in the future, and that your company grows to spread those dreams that you want to have come true, man. Really, I really do hope that works out for you.
Thank you.
So, and we'll talk about some ideas as well. I've been doing some brainstorming since our last talk. So I've got a couple of things in petto, and I will bring you in contact with some people that might be willing to work with you on some things as well. So
thank you so much. That's really nice of you, Eddie. Thank you. I really hope so too.
I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story and getting your message out there to people about what devotion means to you, but also sharing, you know, what your exciting, you know, youthfulness and how an enthusiasm that you are as a producer and film producer. And let's, you know, who knows, one day, man, you not only get a Grammy, but maybe get an Academy Award, you know, you never.
Maybe that'll be amazing. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. And you're a great host. You're doing awesome.
All righty. Well, listen, we'll keep in touch.
Yeah.
And once again, thank you so much for coming on, Gijs. It was a pleasure.
Love the show. Yeah, very good.
All right, buddy. Take care.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Likewise.
Cheers. All right.
Cheers. Likewise.
This is MPP, and I'm Eddie C. Well, I hope you enjoyed my guest as much as I did, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's take the word devotion for a second. Think about it. Devotion. Whether it's the food you like to prepare to eat, or your friends or family, or your passions and hobbies, it would all be quite meaningless without any devotion to it. So on those words, here's my quote. Devotion. Focus on getting goals achieved. Renovation of how you want to reach each platform and improve as your goals get closer. The support of others close that inspire you. The enjoyment of just doing what you like along with its fulfillment it gives to you. Well, that's all for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. But before I go, I'd like to thank my guests, Christina Van Rooi and Gijs Van Lieshout, for sharing their stories and telling us what devotion means to them. And remember, we all need devotion, even if it's only to ourselves. Until next time. You can find me on all platforms like Spotify, Android, and Apple. On Facebook, look for My Positive Podcast, and my website is mypositivepodcast.com. You can also contact me via my website or Facebook. A very special thanks to my technical producer, Iswan. This show is a production by Antwerp Podcast Service. My name is Eddie C., and this was MPP, My Positive Podcast. Tune in next week and stay positive.